The collision. The rain hammered against the windshield like bullets as Maya pressed harder on the accelerator. Her hands trembled against the steering wheel, knuckles white as bone. The divorce papers lay crumpled on the passenger seat, ink bleeding in the humid air. 20 years of marriage, dissolved in courthouse signatures and cold legal language. She didn't see the motorcycle until it was too late. Metal screamed against asphalt. Glass exploded into diamonds across the wet pavement. Maya's car spun twice before crashing into the guardrail, steam hissing from the crumpled hood like a dying breath. Through her shattered windshield, she saw him. The motorcyclist lay motionless on the road, his bike twisted into abstract art 10 feet away. Blood pooled beneath his dark hair, mixing with rainwater into crimson streams. Maya stumbled from her car, her designer heels slipping on the wet asphalt. "Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm so sorry." Her voice cracked as she knelt beside him. His eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then sharp as winter ice when they found hers. Even through the pain etched across his face, she could see something dangerous. There. Something broken. "You hit me," he said, his voice rough gravel. "I know, I'm calling 911. Don't move, please don't move." He tried to sit up, wincing. "Don't! You could have internal injuries. I'm a nurse, I know." "I said don't call them." His hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. "Please." The desperation in his voice made her pause. She studied his face in the flickering light of her hazard signals. Late 30s, maybe 40. Scars traced his jawline like old secrets. His leather jacket had torn, revealing a tattoo that looked military, official. "Why not?" she whispered. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, something shifted. "Because they'll find out what I did." The sirens were getting louder. Maya felt her world tilting on its axis as she stared into the eyes of a stranger whose life she'd just shattered, just as hers had been shattered hours before. "What did you do?" she breathed. The first police car rounded the corner, red and blue lights painting their faces in alternating shadows. "I killed my brother," he said. The lie. "My name is Detective Sarah Chen," Maya heard herself say as the paramedics loaded the stranger onto a stretcher. The lie rolled off her tongue like warm honey, natural and sweet. "This man is my partner. We were responding to a call when the accident happened." The responding officer, a young man with nervous energy, scribbled notes. "Your partner was on a motorcycle, Detective?" "Personal vehicle. Off-duty." Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. 36 years of following rules, of being the good daughter, the perfect wife, the responsible nurse, and here she was, lying to police officers. The stranger's eyes found hers from the stretcher. Even through his pain medication haze, she saw surprise flicker across his features. Then something. That might have been gratitude. "What's his name?" the officer asked. Maya's mind went blank. The paramedic was already moving toward the ambulance. In seconds, they'd discover she was lying. "Marcus," the stranger said weakly, lifting his head slightly. "Detective Marcus Reed." The officer wrote it down without question. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. He'd played along perfectly, like he'd done this before. At Mercy General Hospital, Maya used her nursing credentials to stay close while they patched. Up Marcus Reed, if that was really his name. 3 cracked ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and a concussion that could have been fatal if she'd been going faster. "Why did you lie for me?" he asked when they were finally alone in his room. The evening light filtered through industrial blinds, casting prison bar shadows across his face. Maya sank into the plastic visitor's chair, exhaustion hitting her like a wave. "I don't know." People don't just lie to police for strangers. People don't just confess to murder either. She studied his profile. Did you really kill your brother? Marcus was quiet for so long she thought he'd fallen asleep. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. 2 years ago, Afghanistan. I was supposed to protect him. You were soldiers. He was 19, fresh out of basic training. Marcus's hands clenched the hospital blanket. I made a call. Wrong intel. He died because of my decision. Maya felt tears she didn't know she had left burning behind her eyes. That's not murder, that's war. Tell that to his widow. Tell that to his 3-year-old son who will never know his father. The raw pain in his voice cut through her like glass. She found herself reaching for his hand before she could stop herself. His fingers were calloused, scarred, but warm. I signed divorce papers today, she said, not sure why she was sharing. 20 years of marriage ended because I couldn't give him children, because I worked too many double shifts saving other people's lives instead of building the perfect family he wanted. Marcus turned to look at her fully for the first time. In the fading light, his eyes were the color of storm clouds. So we're both running from something, he said. I'm not running. You lied to federal agents, Maya. I heard them use your real name earlier. You're not Detective Chen any more than I'm Detective Reed. The use of her real name sent shivers down her spine. How do you know I'm not? Marcus smiled, and it transformed his entire face. For a moment, she saw what he might have looked like before whatever happened in Afghanistan carved those lines around his eyes. Because real detectives don't drive BMW convertibles with hospital parking passes. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. You noticed my car? I notice everything. It's how I stay alive. His expression grew serious again. The question is, what do we do now? Before she could answer, the door burst open. A man in an expensive suit stood in the doorway, his face twisted with rage. Hello, brother, Marcus said quietly. Maya's blood turned to ice as she realized Marcus hadn't killed his brother in Afghanistan. His brother was very much alive, and he looked like he wanted to finish what the motorcycle accident had started. The truth unravels Vincent. Marcus's voice held no warmth as his brother stepped into the room. Even injured, Maya could feel the tension radiating from Marcus like heat from a forge. Vincent Reed looked nothing like his brother. Where Marcus was weathered and scarred, Vincent was polished marble. His suit probably cost more than Maya made in a month. Diamond cufflinks caught the fluorescent light as he adjusted them with practiced precision. You always were hard to kill, Vincent said, his smile cold as winter steel. His eyes shifted to Maya. And you are? A nurse, Maya said quickly, standing. Every instinct told her to run, but her feet felt rooted to the linoleum floor. A nurse who lies to police officers about being a detective? Vincent's voice was silk wrapped around a blade. How fascinating. Maya's heart stopped. I don't know what you mean. I have friends in interesting places, Miss Chen, or should I say, Maya Santos, recently divorced nurse practitioner at Mercy General. Vincent pulled out his phone, scrolling with casual menace. Married 20 years to cardiologist David Santos. No children. Clean driving record until today. Vincent, leave her alone. Marcus tried to sit up, wincing as pain shot through his ribs. Oh, but she's part of this now, isn't she? The moment she chose to protect you. Vincent's eyes never left Maya's face. The question is, does she know what she's protecting? What are you talking about? Maya demanded, though part of her wasn't sure she wanted to know. Vincent laughed, a sound like breaking glass. He didn't tell you? My dear brother isn't running from guilt over dead soldiers. He's running because he stole $50 million from our father's company. The words hit Maya like physical blows. She looked at Marcus, searching his face for denial, for explanation. She found only resignation. It's more complicated than that, Marcus said quietly. Is it? Vincent pulled out a tablet, swiping to display. Bank records, transfer logs, documents that made Maya's vision blur. Reed Construction, family business for 3 generations, until Marcus decided he deserved a bigger cut. Our father was laundering money for the Kozlov family, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the betrayal carving itself across Maya's features. Russian mob money, Vincent. I tried to expose it through proper channels. Nobody would listen. So, you decided to steal it instead? I decided to make sure blood money didn't fund more operations. Marcus's eyes found Maya's, pleading. I was going to turn it over to federal authorities. All of it. Vincent clapped slowly. Beautiful story, brother. Tell it to the FBI agents waiting outside. Maya felt the room spin. FBI? They've been tracking Marcus for 8 months. Amazing how quickly they respond when someone reports a suspected federal fugitive in a hospital. Vincent's smile was poisonous. I called them the moment I heard about the accident. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Maya could hear radio chatter, official voices coordinating something that sounded very much like an arrest. You set this up, she breathed, understanding flooding through her like ice water. You knew he'd be here. I've been tracking his movements for months. The accident was just convenient timing. Vincent's mask slipped for a moment, revealing something ugly underneath. Family business stays in the family, Marcus. You should have remembered that. Marcus was looking at Maya with an expression that made her chest ache. I'm sorry. I never meant for you to get involved in this. Touching, Vincent said. But she's involved now, aiding and abetting a federal fugitive. That's 5 to 10 years, Miss Santos. The footsteps were getting closer. Maya could hear tactical gear, multiple voices. In moments, they'd burst through that door, and her life as she knew it would be over. Unless, Vincent continued, his voice dropping to a whisper. You're willing to testify that my brother confessed his crimes to you after the accident. Help us close this case clean, and I can make your little deception disappear. Maya stared at him, then at Marcus. The man she'd risked everything to protect was either a hero or a thief, and she had seconds to decide which story she believed. Maya, Marcus said softly, whatever you choose, I understand. The door handle turned. I need to know, Maya whispered, her voice barely audible. Did you take the money? Marcus held her gaze for a heartbeat that lasted forever. Yes, he said. I took every penny. The FBI burst through the door as Maya's world collapsed around her. The betrayal. The federal courthouse felt like a tomb. Maya sat in the witness box, her hands trembling as she stared out at the packed gallery. Reporters. Scribbled notes. Cameras flashed despite the judge's warnings, and in the front row, Vincent Reed smiled at her like a predator who'd cornered wounded prey. Marcus sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit that made his skin look pale as bone. He hadn't looked at her once during the 3 days of testimony, not when she'd been arrested, not when Vincent's lawyers had offered her immunity in exchange for cooperation, not now, as she prepared to destroy him completely. Miss Santos, the prosecutor said, his voice echoing in the marble chamber. You've testified that the defendant confessed to stealing $50 million from Reed Construction. Is that correct? Maya's mouth felt full of sand. Yes. And he made this confession immediately after the traffic accident? Yes. The word came out as a whisper. Could you tell us his exact words? Maya closed her eyes, remembering that night in the hospital. The way Marcus had looked at her, the trust in his voice when he'd told her the truth. About the money, about his father's connections to the Kozlov family, about the federal agents who'd been killed trying to investigate the connection. He said he took every penny, Maya heard herself say. The gallery erupted in murmurs. The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot, demanding order. And did he tell you what he intended to do with the money? This was it. The moment that would either free her or damn them both. Maya looked at Marcus for the first time since entering the courtroom. His storm-gray eyes met hers, and she saw something that made her breath catch. He was trying to tell her something. "Miss Santos?" the prosecutor prompted. Maya's mind raced back to that night, to the way Marcus had looked when he'd confessed, to Vincent's satisfied smile, to the timing that had been just a little too convenient. "He said he was going to disappear with it," Maya said, the lie burning her throat like acid. But as she spoke, she understood. The real confession hadn't been about stealing money. Marcus had been trying to tell her something else entirely. The trial continued for 2 more days. Character witnesses painted Marcus as a decorated war hero turned desperate criminal. Financial experts traced the money through a maze of offshore accounts. Vincent played the part of the grieving brother, perfectly, talking about family loyalty and betrayal with tears in his eyes. Maya testified again about Marcus's supposed confession. Each word felt like swallowing glass, but she saw the way Marcus relaxed slightly each time she confirmed the prosecution's version of events. On the final day, as the jury filed out to deliberate, Vincent cornered Maya in the courthouse bathroom. "You did well," he said, checking his reflection in the mirror. "Very convincing." "I told the truth," Maya said automatically. Vincent laughed. "The truth? What an interesting concept." He turned to face her fully. "Do you want to know a secret, Maya?" She didn't respond, but he continued anyway. "My brother never stole anything. He was trying to stop me." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. "What?" "I'm the one with Kozlov connections. I'm the one laundering money through Reed Construction. Marcus figured it out 6 months ago." Vincent's mask of grief slipped completely, revealing something monstrous underneath. "He was gathering evidence to turn me in. Such a noble little soldier, always trying to save everyone." Maya felt sick. "Then why? Why did he confess?" "Because I made him a deal." Vincent's smile was poisonous. "Take the fall for the missing money, or I kill you and every nurse on your floor at Mercy General. My brother always was too protective for his own good." The bathroom spun around Maya. "You're lying." "Am I? How else would I know you'd be in that exact spot at that exact time for the accident? How else would the FBI know exactly when and where to find him?" Vincent adjusted his tie with steady hands. "I've been planning this for months. Even had Marcus's bike sabotaged. Amazing what a little mechanical failure can do to steering at high speeds." Maya stared at him in horror. "You tried to kill him. I tried to kill you both. The fact that you survived was just good luck." Vincent moved toward the door. "Marcus taking the blame for everything was just better planning." "I won't let you do this." Vincent paused, his hand on the door handle. "You already have, my dear. Your testimony just convicted an innocent man. The jury will return a guilty verdict within the hour." He left Maya alone in the bathroom, her reflection staring back at her from the mirror like an accusation. She'd been played from the very beginning. Every choice, every lie, every moment of trust had been orchestrated by a man who'd been willing to kill her to protect his own crimes. The worst part was Marcus had known. He'd known what his brother was capable of, and he'd chosen to protect her anyway. Maya ran from the courthouse, Vincent's laughter echoing behind her like the sound of breaking chains. She had less than an hour to find $50 million and prove Marcus's innocence, or watch an innocent man go to prison for the rest of his life. The man who'd sacrificed everything to keep her alive. The sacrifice. Maya's hands shook as she broke into Marcus's abandoned apartment. The FBI had already torn through it once, but they hadn't known what to look for. She did now. Vincent had been too clever, too thorough, but he'd made one mistake. He'd assumed Marcus would never tell her where the real evidence was hidden. Behind the loose baseboard in the bedroom closet, exactly where Marcus had set it. Would be during their brief conversation in lockup, Maya found the drive. 8 months of surveillance footage, financial records, and recorded phone calls that would destroy Vincent Reed and half the Russian mob presence on the East Coast. The jury was still deliberating when Maya burst into the FBI field office. "I need to speak to Agent Morrison," she demanded at the front desk. "About the Reed case." 20 minutes later, she sat across from a woman who looked like she could bench press a small car and had the patience of a saint being tested by divine forces. "You're telling me," Agent Morrison said slowly, "that Vincent Reed orchestrated this entire thing to frame his brother for his own crimes? Listen to the recordings." Maya pushed the drive across the metal table. Vincent discussing money transfers with Dmitry Kozlov, plans to eliminate witnesses, the order to sabotage Marcus's motorcycle. Agent Morrison plugged in the drive. The room filled with Vincent's voice, crisp and clear as he discussed murder like a grocery list. "Jesus Christ," the agent whispered. "How did Marcus get all this?" "He's been investigating his family's business for 8 months. He knew something was wrong when federal agents started dying." Maya gripped her hands together to stop them, shaking. "He was trying to build a case the right way until Vincent threatened to kill innocent people. Including you. Including everyone I work with." Maya met the agent's eyes. "He sacrificed his freedom to protect strangers, and I helped convict him for it." Agent Morrison was already reaching for her phone. "We need to stop this jury before they—" The door burst open. Vincent Reed stood there with 2 men Maya didn't recognize, their hands inside their jackets in a way that suggested imminent violence. "I'm sorry, Agent Morrison," Vincent said with false regret. "But I can't let you hear the rest of that recording." Maya realized with crystalline clarity that Vincent had been tracking her every move, that he'd known exactly what Marcus would do, what she would do, how this entire scene would play out. "You killed those federal agents," Agent Morrison said, her hand moving toward her weapon. "Among others." Vincent nodded to his men. "Dmitry doesn't like loose ends." The next 60 seconds unfolded like a nightmare in slow motion. Gunshots echoed off concrete walls. Agent Morrison dove for cover, returning fire. Maya found herself pressed against the floor as bullets shattered computer monitors and punched holes in government-issue furniture. When the shooting stopped, Vincent was bleeding from his shoulder but still standing. His men weren't as lucky. "You always were too much trouble," Vincent said, pointing his gun at Maya's chest. "Should have just taken the immunity deal and disappeared." Maya closed her eyes, thinking of Marcus sitting in his cell, probably hearing the sirens that were already beginning to wail outside. At least the recording was safe. At least he'd be free. The shot came from behind her. Maya opened her eyes to see Vincent Reed crumple to the ground, a spreading pool of red beneath him. Marcus stood in the doorway, still wearing his orange prison jumpsuit, smoking gun in his hand. "How?" Maya breathed. "Agent Morrison called for backup when you showed up," Marcus said, his voice steady despite everything. "They were transporting me back from court when we heard shots fired." "The jury?" "Mistrial. Turns out new evidence has a way of changing things." Marcus helped Maya to her feet, his touch gentle despite the chaos surrounding them. "Vincent's not dead, by the way. Shoulder wound. He'll live to stand trial." Agent Morrison was coordinating with the backup team that had flooded the building. Vincent was conscious but cuffed, screaming about lawyers and diplomatic immunity. Maya and Marcus stood in the middle of it all, 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their worst moments. "I'm sorry," Maya said, "for not believing you, for testifying against you." "You saved my life," Marcus replied. "Vincent would have killed me in that hospital if you hadn't given me a reason to stay alive." "What happens now?" Marcus looked out the window at the city skyline, painted gold by the setting sun. "Now we heal, both of us." Maya thought about her empty house, her divorce papers, her life that had been carefully constructed and completely destroyed in the span of a week. Then she looked at Marcus, this man who'd sacrificed everything for people he'd never met, who'd trusted her with the truth even when it could have destroyed him. "Together?" she asked. Marcus smiled, and for the first time since she'd met him, it reached his eyes. "Together," he said. 6 months later, Maya stood in the visitors' gallery of another courthouse, watching Vincent Reed get sentenced to life without parole. Marcus sat beside her, his hand warm in hers, his testimony having put away half of Dmitry Kozlov's organization along with his brother. They'd both lost everything: their old lives, their certainties, their carefully constructed defenses against a world that could be cruel and capricious. But they'd found something neither had expected. They'd found each other. And sometimes, Maya thought as they walked out into the afternoon sun, that was enough. Sometimes that was everything. The end.